Oh, you think I'm joking? Battlefield has had an amazing track record as of the past couple of years.
Liar!
A beautiful long streak of broken releases after broken releases that was followed up by a spree of broken games after broken games, with one outlier in the middle of it somehow releasing without controversy. For the past 7 years, the Battlefield franchise has been virtually dead in the eyes of the greater gaming community as a whole, demoted from being a staple of the FPS genre to a franchise that kinda peaked in high school. All thanks to the release of two games, Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 2042, which to many has stained the idea of what Battlefield can even be. Am I being a bit too rude? Well, yeah, I kinda am. Battlefield isn't a franchise that has yearly releases. It releases once every 3 to 4 years, so the news of a new one releasing is kind of a big deal. If the game comes out and it's dog shit right out the gate, then it's not like we can just skip it and hope the next one coming out the following year will be better. No, if it's bad, it's the game that we're gonna be stuck with for the next couple of years. Battlefield 4 released in an absolute unplayable state, but after years of hard work trying to fix their mess, it ended up being a very respectable game, some calling it their favorite in the franchise. Hardline came out and existed, but the next mainline title would come out 3 years later, and be a success right off the bat. It would go on to be the best-selling game in the franchise and the best-selling game that year, in spirit. At this point, Battlefield was at its cultural peak. It can only get better, people thought to themselves. And then Battlefield 5 happened. Battlefield 5 can easily be stated as the turning point for the franchise, going down a dark tunnel, so to speak, of no return, leaving people to realize it's going to be another 3 years of playing 4 and 1 again. But there was light at the end of the tunnel. A brand new game that's promising players a return to modern combat, and a return to what Battlefield is really like. 2042. The marketing was amazing. The game sounded like everything the fans had been hoping for the past 3 years, even longer if you didn't like Battlefield 1. And then it released. In a funny turn of events, the game somehow managed to outdo Battlefield 5 and become the worst Battlefield game of all time. Some would even say that it went beyond that, and was the worst excuse for a modern day AAA game they have ever seen, and everyone made sure to tell others of it too. A modern day punching bag whenever you wanted easy internet points. But now, in the big 2025, there once again appears to be light at the end of the tunnel. The promise of something coming that's going to fix the mistakes of the past, while also carving a new promising outlook for the future. Battlefield 6. What is there to say about Battlefield 6 that hasn't been said already? It's going to have 4 studios in charge of development. It's going to have a campaign. It's going to have multiplayer with class-based gameplay, and hopefully, if they actually listen to people, class-locked weapons like in Battlefield 4. It's going to have 2 factions that are grounded in reality, rather than whatever the fuck is happening down the street. A conflict that spans around the world from Africa, Europe, and the mainland United States. It's going to have a new mode that's similar to the finals that's set to be free to play. It's going to have everyone's favorite mode that the community definitely did not boo the last time it got revealed live on stage. A Battle Royale that's free to play this time. It's going to have an open beta that starts the 4th of August, so you don't have to wait much longer to actually test the game yourself. And will most likely release October 10th. Is that too early for a release? Or just enough time to actually use the beta as a proper beta and not just a play it early session? I don't know. You tell me.
It's going to be €80 for consoles.
Will this game be the game that breaks the curse and puts Battlefield back on the map? Or will it be nothing more than another internet laughingstock, lumped in with the rest? Only time can tell. Most people already consider the past Battlefield games as nothing more than a soulless husk who's one game away from being shelved and forgotten. Or at least old people who hold the refractory games on such a high pedestal. But being part of the generation that grew up with these games, I just disagree with that. There's always a hunger for Battlefield games no matter the year. The Battlefield formula. No matter what people tell you online, each game still has that Battlefield formula that can be traced back to 1942. Even Battlefield 5 and 2042. There's still effort behind the scenes to make do with what they're given. Even through the flaws, there's still something there. That distinct Battlefield formula. One that for some reason no other franchise can perfectly replicate without failing themselves. This game is in a horrifying position of having to be not horrible. It doesn't have to be perfect or even great, but it simply has to be good. Or at least good enough that DICE doesn't dedicate the first year to fixing the game. A lot is riding on this release. Many people consider it to be Battlefield's last chance to make a good game. Some would even go as far to say that the fate of having fun in a modern first-person shooter is in the hands of Battlefield 6. As funny as that is to say out loud, I kinda agree with it. The modern FPS scene is really boring right now. Yeah, new games release, but they don't last longer than a month before people start to jump ship and play their comfort games instead. The game I'm personally having the most fun playing right now is about anime horse girls racing. There's an entire generation that has grown up constantly hearing how good Battlefield is, and have had these two be their Battlefield games. So now more than ever, the gaming world are looking onto DICE & Company to deliver a game that's good enough to be purchased day one without any regret. So no pressure, am I right? Since the beginning of time, there's been one franchise that's reigned supreme over the FPS genre, Call of Duty. Year after year, it would be the best-selling game of the year, with only Grand Theft Auto being able to beat it. In an attempt to reinvent the wheel, at the time, developers were only given 3 years to work on their title, meaning they would have to predict what would be popular in 3 years' time. The general audience already had their fill with the future, and wanted a return to something grounded and familiar, more of a boots-on-the-ground approach. So when they saw the reveal to Infinite Warfare, they hated it because it existed. It became the most disliked video on YouTube. All it took for Battlefield to tip the scales was one trailer. We all love being hyped for something, especially when it comes at the expense at something else. Where Call of Duty started to burn their bridges with fans, Battlefield was there to receive those players with open arms, giving them a break from the future and a look into the past, with a time period that almost never gets a representation in gaming, introducing a new generation to the Battlefield formula thanks to one trailer. Battlefield 1 was lightning in a bottle. It came at the perfect time and had a very great marketing strategy of showing off more and more of the game any chance they got, whereas opposed to Call of Duty where they showed less and less of the game the closer it got to launch. The feud between these giants isn't even a new thing. They made fun of each other in the past. The whole tagline of Battlefield 3 was to go above and beyond the call, but it wasn't really until here when it worked. Battlefield 3 had that as their tagline because EA was confident with the game. Battlefield 1 became a success because Call of Duty essentially gave them the biggest layup imaginable. Every trailer showed off more and more of the game, showing players all the cool stuff they're going to have fun with. And it didn't stop at launch. Battlefield 1's post-launch cycle would continue to have that amazing streak of memorable trailers that did nothing but hype the players for the new content releasing. The marketing team at DICE took advantage of the opportunity laid before them and never looked back. So where the fuck did it go wrong? Battlefield 5 still holds the record for me for being the most confusing reveal I have ever seen. Not confusing in a Kojima type of way, but confusing in I don't think the game itself knows what it wants to be. Not to mention the reveal event that had everyone's favorite gamer, Trevor Noah, tell us how much he loves games. But the trailer. The point of a trailer is to get someone excited for something, show them just enough that they're left wanting more, but not overstuff the reveal by bombarding the viewer with a lot of stuff all at once. A good example of this in recent time was the reveal teaser for Silent Hill F. But what Battlefield 5 went on and did was give us a trailer that left everyone going, what the fuck did I just watch? It's supposed to be a World War II game, but what about it screamed World War II? Everyone was confused what the game was supposed to be. No one really understood the direction of it. High School Me was coping. How could the team that gave us this give us this in 2 years? A little fun fact, Battlefield 1's final DLC pack, Apocalypse, had their trailer released 3 months earlier, and they were polar opposites from one another.
We are no longer innocent. We are lost from this world. From home. We no longer believe in such things. We only believe in war.
Launching grenade! I got your back!
Of course, it did get better throughout the lifecycle of Battlefield 5. Besides the game improving with every update, it started to get more trailers that started to feel more like Battlefield trailers. Its launch trailer and the War on the Pacific trailers being ones that come to mind first. But this also goes to prove something else, and it's the importance of first impressions. For those who don't follow the leak season, their first exposure of the game is the reveal trailer. A good reveal trailer can guarantee positive reactions. It can even guarantee pre-orders. People are very reactionary. If they see something they like, they will fully support it all the way through. But if the reveal to something is so foreign it begins to alienate the very community it was targeted to, well then people are going to remember that until the day of launch. A negative connotation surrounds the game just because they goofed the reveal. It doesn't matter how great the following trailers can get because they messed up their first chance at getting it right. Even the release can be tainted to some extent because the reveal still lingers in people's minds. But it's really funny when an extremely bad video game gets a very good trailer. Battlefield 2042 needs no introduction. A return to a modern setting that the franchise hadn't seen for 8 years at the time of its release, Battlefield 2042's marketing was in hindsight riddled with causes for concern. Almost all the trailers had little to no actual gameplay. The gameplay reveal itself only had a couple of seconds of someone actually firing their weapons. But all of this was ignored at the time because, well, the first reveal was incredible. The guy did a Renazuke in the trailer. The original Renazuke guy reacted to it. How can this possibly be bad? Oh, that's how. You know, regardless for how the game turned out, this is still their best trailer they've done. The original trailer promised millions the idea of a game they'll never get to truly play. And people latched onto that idea so hard that countless of YouTubers and players had fully convinced themselves that the game just needed a day one patch to fix all the problems. Those patches eventually came years later, but by then the damage was already done. People saw those trailers in a different light. Where was once glee and excitement, it was nothing more than disgust and regret. So much so that when the game did eventually get better, no one gave a shit to look back because people were so burned from going on an incredible high with the reveal to being pushed off the second floor with the release. Showing that a game can have the best trailer in the world and still have trouble behind the scenes, leading to the game that plays nothing like the trailer advertised. Truly a new form of a Battlefield moment, the indecisive trailer. One that no matter how many flashy colors play on screen, people are still going to ask, is this actually how the game's gonna feel on release? And it doesn't just end with Battlefield. There's multiple games that had great trailers and have the finished product play nothing like it. Or flat out advertise an entirely different game to the one that would soon release. But even then, a development studio can create the best product in the world, assemble the best minds in the industry to market the game to maximize profits, and still end up being horrible at launch because the publishers got a little too greedy. Going back to the realm of EA titles, because of course we can look at Battlefront 2. You know exactly where I'm going with this. Battlefront 2 was priding itself as being a game worthy of the original 2005 title. It improved everything from the first game, added all 3 eras of Star Wars, added classes, added space battles, and added triple the amount of maps, heroes, and vehicles that the first game had. The trailers that were released alongside it were amazing, each highlighting things that people thought were missing from the first game. Everything, no matter how you cut it, was shaping up to be the best game imaginable. How can this possibly go wrong? In an attempt to please players, EA would ditch the Season Pass model that the first game had and announce that all future content to the game would be free to all players. But in order for them to still get that potentially lost revenue stream, they would introduce another revenue stream: gambling. Microtransactions was not a new idea at all. Many games do it even today, but people don't really care if what you're getting is strictly cosmetic. Would people prefer paying for skins directly? Well, yeah, of course, but a slot machine for cosmetics is kinda still whatever, I'm gonna be honest. If it doesn't affect gameplay or the progression, it should be okay, perfectly harmless. So what EA decided to do was tie in the game's fucking progression system to these loot boxes. Not only would the box have cosmetics, but they would also have star cards in there. Abilities for each class in the game, a thing that was completely free in the last one, are now a part of a slot machine. And to throw insult to injury, they would give these star cards rarities to them that not only increase the damage and effects that are done by the ability, but it would also dictate the level your class was, making the game literally pay to win. To the surprise of literally fucking nobody, this was a big deal when it happened. They have the most downvoted comment in Reddit history because of this. They were taken to court over this. They defended their decision by saying it's not gambling but rather surprise mechanics, and dragged their heels until they were legally forced to remove it, affecting not only the game's reputation to the rest of the world, as people now saw it as nothing more than a pay-to-win mess of a game, but it also affected the game's post-launch content, as resources were moved and a skeleton crew was left to fix the mess that they as a team wanted to avoid. And the funny thing about it is that while the game had insane levels of hype behind it until the whole gambling fiasco happened, players didn't actually get to experience it. The ability to purchase loot boxes was removed days before the game went live, so players didn't even have to experience the bullshit for themselves, but it was already too late. The damage was already done and its reputation was ruined. as it forever had the label of pay-to-win shooter despite the aspect of the game technically not being a part of the game at all. Even when they did fix the progression system months later, it was still being called pay-to-win slot by people who refused to buy it, showing that a game can come to the table with everything great, but still have a monumental fuck up at the very end, all because of its publisher getting too greedy. So as it may seem like I'm just rambling at 3 AM as I write this, I just want to remind people to be very cautious with the next Battlefield game. Don't let the marketing of the game win you over. Don't let the flashy trailers win you over. And don't let YouTubers win you over. Do not buy into the promises EA say from now until release. Let the game speak for itself. Let your experience with the open beta dictate whether or not you think the game needs more work, or if the game feels just right as it is. And even then, if everything is looking okay from your own personal experience playing the game, if all the stars are aligning just right that this may turn out to be the best Battlefield game to have ever released since Battlefield 1, do not pre-order. Give in to the reality of the game, not the idea of it. Do not pre-order your copy months in advance because it comes with bonuses. Pre-order the game an hour before it releases like the rest of us. Most people are gonna end up pre-ordering the game digitally, and you really don't need to secure your copy if it's just a digital copy. Digital copies historically never run out, and I don't think the supply chain would be so messed up that we would genuinely see a lack of physical copies either. History has shown us that even when things are lining up for a game to be everything the first one was, but better, EA still manages to fuck it up somehow by being too greedy for their own good. Could we be walking into another Battlefield 1 release where the developers were allowed to make the best game imaginable without EA letting their greed show until after release? Or are we in for something similar to Battlefront 2, where the game itself could be a work of art, but hindered by the design choice that only existed to exploit the players out of more money past the initial $60? Hell, somehow we could be walking into another 2042. Very unlikely considering the leaked footage, but that possibility is still on the table considering this franchise. It could be an unstable mess that crashes every time it stays open for longer than 30 seconds, like Battlefield 4. Whatever it may end up being, just be cautious. It's okay to be excited for things. I'm not telling you that you can't be excited. It's just try not let your excitement become another form of expectation. Don't let another Renezuke in the trailer be the reason why you pre-order. Let the finished product dictate whether or not you spend money. And whatever you do, and I cannot emphasize this more, do not pre-order. Let the game at release speak for itself. I'm pre-ordering 30 fucking copies right now.